We're going to talk about the Galaxy Z Fold 6 and 3 things that I think are going to disappoint people at the end of the day when that phone is released. There's been rumors of a Z Fold 6 and a Z Fold 6 Ultra. We're going to be specifically talking about the Z Fold 6 and those things that I think that we're looking forward to that are, but ultimately are going to probably let us down based off what I've seen with this phone throughout the years. So let's first start off with battery life. There's rumored that the Z Fold 6 will have a 4600 milliamp battery. This current Z Fold 5 has a 4400 milliamp battery. Now, it's also going to have a Snapdragon 8 Gen 3. This has an 8 Gen 2, but the battery life with these folding phones doesn't compare, at least in my testing, to their S counterparts. So like the S23, S24 Ultra phones, those phones, they have bigger batteries, but they have the same processor, but they generally have better battery life. Probably because this has to power such a big display. Displays eat up the most battery life usually when they're on their phone. So for me, I think we're gonna walk away disappointed in the overall day-to-day battery life usage of the Z Fold 6. I don't think we're gonna be in that and be like, yo, this is really good, this is really impressive, this is getting me from the very beginning of the day to the time I go to bed. I think it's gonna be one of those phones that it's kind of been with these folding phones where it's like, you know, I gotta charge a little bit after the middle of the day, it's getting pretty low, I'm a little bit worried that it's not gonna last. I use my phone a lot, and I take it off the charger in the morning, and then by, you know, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, I'm pretty low, maybe 15%, 20%, and I'm like, you know, I don't think I'm gonna last, so I wanna make sure this is charged up, so I have to charge it up. So battery life definitely, I think, is gonna walk away with a weak point on here. Next up would be the cameras. There's rumors that we've heard 200 megapixel, we've heard 50 megapixel as the main sensor, and we've heard with that 50 megapixel sensor is basically gonna be the same cameras as the Z Fold 5. So I think that's what we'll get with the Z Fold 6 is ultimately the same camera setup. I think we'll get which is gonna be the same cameras, obviously with a slightly different algorithm or some AI built into it. But I think, again, we're gonna walk away not thinking that this is an overly impressive camera system versus their S line versus say Pixel 8 Pro or 9 Pro, whatever is out at the time of that phone, or the iPhones. So I think we're gonna walk away, you know what, we're like 80% there in terms of the quality that we love, but you know what, it'd be nice to get the other 20% because we're paying almost $2,000 for these phones. So I think cameras, battery life are gonna be 2 of the things we're super not very impressed with. The last one, I've been thinking about this because I think as much as I'm excited for the bigger displays on the, or at least the wider displays, I should say, it's still the same size displays, 6.2 and 7.6, but ultimately it's gonna be a little bit wider and supposedly a little bit shorter. And I still think we're gonna walk away unimpressed. The reason I say that is because as much as I feel like I want it to be like, you know, like something like this, which is the phone from OnePlus, and it's nice and wide, it's great. I don't think it's gonna end up feeling like that. I think it's gonna feel like a slightly larger version than this, which I think we're gonna be like, yeah, it's kind of cool, and maybe it'll be a little bit wider on the inside too, which I don't really feel like is totally necessary, but hey, whatever. But I think we're gonna walk away, again, a little bit unimpressed. We're gonna be like, you know, it wasn't as much of a change as I truly wanted, and I'm just not feeling it as much as I thought I would. And at this point, I think some people are gonna be like, hey, I'm gonna check out that new Pixel Fold 2, which has a much bigger display, which is 6.4 on the outside, 7.9 on the inside. Or they're gonna say, I'm gonna check out that new OnePlus. But we'll keep our eyes peeled on this. I just think those are the 3 key areas we're gonna walk away a little unimpressed. The Galaxy Ring, some more stuff keeps leaking out about this. It's a product I am excited for. It's gonna be a smart ring that you wear that tracks things about your lifestyle. And Ishan Agarwal, who has a great track record, has put a new tweet out discussing some of the information about this Galaxy Ring. In his tweet, he says more information on an upcoming Samsung Galaxy Ring from publication The Elect, and The Elect is a Korean news outlet. 400K units to be produced initially, which we've heard that before, which is a lot of units. That's a lot of rings, right? Likely to adjust production based on demand. Production will start in May, so just about 2 months from now, they'll start beginning to make them. Unveiling, they're gonna alongside the Galaxy Z6 foldables in July, so you'll be able to get this and hear about the price and everything else, the official piece of it in July. Sales are expected in August, but from what we're hearing, it might even be late July, I should say. Expected to be pushed as wellness devices and could lack functionalities like irregular heart rhythm, blood pressure, ECG, as no certifications have been attained for the same. So, man, if it doesn't have some of those things like that, like, I guess it would be nice to know at least my heart rhythm at the very least. I don't know if I needed to do my blood pressure and everything else. Sure, if it had that, great, it would be amazing, but not the end of the road for that. So I think about this, is this gonna be more a glorified sleep tracker? Is it going to be a device that only tracks how many steps I took and sleeping and things like that? And maybe that's all people want. But with Samsung devices, when you think back to the past, they would give you everything a lot of the time. Remember some of their first smartwatches would give you notifications. They had a camera built into it. It did this, it did that, all kinds of cool stuff. And then they kind of got rid of the camera, did this and that. But this is the device that they're going to come out with, make it a bare bones device and still price it too high at $250 potentially. Whew. So I'm hoping that this thing is chock full of features, things that aren't being discussed or things that they don't think are going to be in there that end up showing up in the Ring. But what do you want the Ring to have? Let us know in the comments down below. Our last story is about the Samsung Galaxy Watch, and I am so excited about this. I love square watches. I haven't had one since I had the Galaxy Gear watch. That was awesome. Loved that thing. And then they had like the curved wraparound watch. That thing was awesome looking as well. And then Apple has square watches now. But what about Samsung? Well, it looks like they are doing an about face and going back to square watches. Per Sam Mobile, they will be going back to square design for the Galaxy Watch. Now, when will that happen? I don't know. But I love this. I like it because I feel like you can see more on the watch when it's in a square interface. When it's circular, it cuts off the sides. And the systems that we use with the way apps work and when you watch something on television, everything's either square or rectangle, but basically it's like this in some sort of fashion. It's not circular. So I really like this. I think it's a great idea, and I can see Samsung doing some amazing things with Square. I can see them bringing back that wraparound watch again, but now modern and better performance and better software and better features, better screens, all of that. So this is very exciting to me. Spoke about the Galaxy Z Flip 6, and we know that it's going to be an upgrade in some areas, and then in some areas it might not be an upgrade. It might be more of the same. And I've spoken about some of the upgrades already. So some of this stuff not so new, but I did want to go through it again because there's a rumor again, this time from the Galox, which he's got a good track record. Sometimes he doesn't, sometimes he's pulling, a lot of it he's just pulling information from other people, but I still wanted to go through it, talking about some of these things in here, such as the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 for Galaxy, which is a dead giveaway, obviously, that will happen. A bigger cooling system, which should happen because of the fact that the S24 Ultra has a bigger cooling system. Now, this is where it gets a little controversial. Not the 6.7-inch inner display, that's probably correct. The 3.9-inch outer display, which would be bigger than what they currently have. I think the current one is 3.6. That rumor has been flip-flopping between 3.6 and 3.9, which again, 3.9 would be a fairly different size difference, bigger. I would hope it would be the bigger. I mean, I always want a bigger display, so it'd be really cool if they can actually make that happen. On the back, you'd get the 50 and 12 megapixel cameras, which probably correct. 4,000 milliamp battery, which would be bigger battery, which would be nicely received, and I think they'll do that. The improved hinge and internal layout, which is probably correct as well. They seem to do that on every iteration of these folding and flip phones. Gorilla Glass armor, which is probably correct. 7 years of updates, which is also probably correct because of the way they've done that with the S24 line. Galaxy AI, which will definitely come to it. and then the 12 gigs of RAM. They've been stuck on 8 gigs of RAM for a bit. It would be nice to see them go in there with 12 gigs of RAM. That remains to be seen, but it would be a nice little get for them to get to really extend the life of these somewhat flagship phones for the Galaxy Z Flip line. Now, our last story has to do with the Google Pixel Fold 2, which in a lot of people's eyes are really making the difference in terms of changing and making the right changes versus their competitor, the Galaxy Z Fold 5 and 6 and OnePlus Open. It looks like, Google's really going to make some headway here. And there's a couple of things that have just come out. One of these, actually all this information today is coming from Mr. Ross Young, who's saying that the leaks on the Pixel Fold 2 don't have the display sizes correct. They're actually bigger. Remember, it used to be 7.9 and 6.4. It's now 8.02, which is a little bit bigger, let's be honest. Not hugely different, but it is a little bit bigger for the foldable display. And then on the outside, 6.29, which is smaller than the 6.4 we've been hearing for that cover display. Panel production starts in April. It is coming. Now, what do we take from this? Well, you're getting a huge inside display. Absolutely massive. Bigger than this. It is supposed to be a squared display, so it's gonna look square. It's gonna be wide again on the inside display. This is a OnePlus phone, but it's gonna be wide. So you've got all that going for it or against it, depending upon how you look at it. When companies make these massive displays on these phones, I love it. I really, really love it. And the reason I love it is for multitasking. It makes it much more enjoyable for gaming, for social media, for looking at photos, for watching videos. That's the main reasons I really, really love it. I can understand people not loving it because it's harder to fit in your pocket sometimes, it's heavier, things like that. So it makes sense, but maybe this will be lighter and maybe not as wide, but I think it's still gonna be pretty wide. The other part of this is saying that the production of the display starting in April. That makes me think, are we gonna see this phone in July, in the summertime? It wouldn't surprise me, which at the end of the day, there's been rumors that this is gonna have a Tensor G4 processor, but I don't know if the Tensor G4 processor will be ready in the summertime if this phone is released in there. We've heard it might be released in October, which would put it in line with the Tensor G4. Is it G5 then? I don't even remember. I'm drawing a blank. Regardless, you want the newest Tensor processor in there, and this might still be the same generation as the Pixel 8 and 8 Pro on there. If it's like that, if it releases earlier than the Pixel 9 and 9 Pro. So, man, it's a little bit of give and take again if they do this. Hopefully they improve like everything about the phone. It's a great phone, the Pixel Fold. I still like the phone, but then jumping from to the Z Fold 5 and then the OnePlus Fold, it felt a little bit dated in ways. Really, really heavy as well. So I hope they get that weight down and the wideness of the inner display. This is the OnePlus Fold, but I want them to get the wideness way down on there as well. As the days go on, the water gets murkier and murkier with the Galaxy Z Fold 6. Remember, we've heard there's gonna be a Galaxy Z Fold 6 Ultra. We've heard there's gonna be a Galaxy Z Fold 6. We've heard there's gonna be a Galaxy Z Fold 6 Fan Edition FE. And this wheel of a circle that we hear about these things gets crazier and crazier. And now we're not hearing about the Ultra, which I'll be honest at this point, if I had to guess, I don't think there's gonna be an Ultra version. There's not enough information about it. I don't think it's gonna happen. But at the same time, we really haven't heard any specs per se about the Galaxy Z Fold 6 FE, but still, that doesn't mean it doesn't exist or that the Ultra version of this does not exist. I mean, I'm just guessing here, and some information has come out from a Korean publication, ET News, and we've also got the tweet from Revegnus saying, breaking news, as I've mentioned, Samsung is reported to be developing the Z Fold 6 FE. According to reports from ET News, Samsung is preparing the first budget model in the history of the Z Fold. Currently, Samsung is developing a total of 2 models for the Z Fold 6, one featuring pen input functionality and another budget model without pen input. This is a strategy aimed at reducing the price burden on foldable smartphones and expanding demand. Now, if that's literally the only thing that's different about these phones is one can support S Pen, one can't, and the specs and everything about these phones is pretty much the same, I'd probably get the FE version. I never use the pen. I don't care to use the pen. And but I can't imagine they would do something like that. It would probably still be the Z Fold 6, a better phone. Z Fold 6 FEs, probably lesser specs, not as good cameras, things like that. So I'm hoping what ends up happening is that the Z Fold 6, what we've seen so far, at least from the renders, is the fan edition, and the one that we're gonna get, the Z Fold 6, is gonna be a much premium edition that we haven't seen leaked out just yet. But that remains to be seen. The story, I mean, these stories with these phones, man, it's exciting because they go back and forth, and obviously the information isn't always correct, but sometimes it is. So we'll keep our eyes peeled on this one, but right now we're looking like only a Z Fold 6 and only a Z Fold 6 fan edition. When the Galaxy S24 was just about to release, there was a bunch of rumors going out about a bunch of Galaxy AI features that were due to come out with the launch of this Galaxy S24. Remember, Galaxy AI is a big, not only marketing thing for Samsung to push, but it's also a great software feature set that has come to this. It makes, like I've said in past videos, you get the best of Samsung Galaxy, but then you get the best of the Pixel features from Google as well, because a lot of these features are really from the Pixel side, and there was some exclusive features coming to Samsung that never came to it, and we talked a lot about it. I was stoked about it. I was like, that is awesome. And they never came. So I want to show you what these features were again. And then I also want to discuss if I think they ever will come, and if they do, when. So let's talk about the features first. So this tweet reminded me from Bennett. He's talking about these features on how Samsung has passed on some crazy cool features. Their features come from a variety of sources, those being Qualcomm, Google, Korea AI, etc. So here is the list of biggest features. One is AI enhanced low light video recording. Qualcomm worked hard on this, and it really shows. Although no phone manufacturer is using it yet, it is most certainly going to be used later on. It can improve stabilization and increase brightness, reduce gain, sharpen the overall quality. So low light video would have been much improved with AI. AI subject remover from videos. This was awesome. This was a very powerful feature sounding. Unused tool used by Qualcomm. This tool allows you to remove items and subjects from videos, all on device as well. That was like something I was super looking forward to. I was like, dang, that sounds amazing. To remove someone from a video. Powerful video processing, photo processing for zoom and other scenarios. A feature by Korea. Korea has a powerful tool that lets you enhance, alter images, which you can more often than not heavily improve the quality of photos. Down below, you can see a comparison between two cats. So basically, that powerful photo processing, and I think we'll talk about that in a minute, but that's a cool feature. On-device AI image generation, so it'd be the ability to create your own images. This is something that you can do on websites and things like that, such as Google Gemini. Offline chatbot assistant, Google's Gemini Nano language model, and other various LMs can run on device and execute various tasks. And a notable one is communication and conversation. This could have been an independent feature or paired with Bixby, but Samsung didn't bother and really passed up on the opportunity. Now let's talk about why Samsung didn't include these. I think at the end of the day, maybe they weren't ready, but beyond them not being ready, I really think they didn't want to overwhelm their customer base. You know, there's already a bunch of AI stuff that people probably don't even use, to be fair, and then some do use. You got circle to search, you've got some things to do with the keyboard, you got things with their audio recordings, there's a bunch of stuff. And I think if you added, 50 to 100 things, and I mean, this isn't 50, but let's say 20 to 30 real hardcore features, it's gonna get lost. People are gonna get overwhelmed, and they won't end up using it at all. So I think that's why they're gonna add these things little by little. And also when you add them little by little, it helps with the next generation of phones. As you know, they're gonna release a Galaxy S25 series of phone, and they're gonna need something new to add to it. Let's be honest. This could be something new, being able to remove objects from video. Maybe it needs the extra horsepower, or maybe they just want to save it and not overwhelm the people. That's why I think they're going to wait and release these things staggered out throughout the next year or two to not overwhelm their customers, and then also to give customers a reason to buy the next generation of these phones. So I think that's going to be the release date, why, when, and I would have loved The ones I would really have loved to have on here was onboard image generation. I do it on Gemini all the time for my videos, and it's really, really cool. I love it, but I would love to just have it built right into the phone. And they kind of have it with the wallpaper feature, but the wallpaper is very limited. You can only choose certain things. I also would have loved to have AI enhanced photos and videos. Why not? You know, make my photos and videos look better. I think that would be great. And then also the enhanced low light video recording. As you know, you need a lot of light for videos. If it could AI enhance that stuff, I'm all in for it. Galaxy S24 Ultra. Do you miss the curve on this display? I personally don't. And I know someone that does, Ice Universe, who put out a tweet saying that he makes these mistakes when he uses the back gesture because he misses the curved display. Thinks with the flat display, it's easier to make mistakes. It's just not as accurate. I don't feel that way at all. I feel just as accurate as I did with the curved display. And it's really a question to you guys. Like when you're using that back gesture, are you generally making mistakes? Again, I don't feel like I am. It's been great with what I've been using it for and what I need it for, and being able to use those back gestures hasn't been impacted in a negative way at all. It hasn't also been impacted in a positive way. It feels about the same to me personally, but what about you guys? Our last story is actually a really cool trick that you can do with your always on display on your Galaxy S24 because you have One UI 6.1. The first thing you want to do here is you want to swipe down from the top, hit the gear in the top right, and you're going to be into settings, and you want to go into, when you see, where is it named here? Lock screen and always on display. You want to go on to, make sure always on display is turned on, and then tap on it on the left-hand side. And then again, make sure it's on right here at the top. It should already be on if you turned it on the previous screen. Show lock screen wallpaper, turn that on. And there's a cool thing, it says erase the background. So I'll show you that. I can erase it, and right now it's on, and then it's off, and it's freaking cool. And I'll show you in a bigger screen in a second. But if you want to, you can also edit the wallpaper. So first of all, I'm gonna turn this screen off because I think it's gonna stop recording when I do this. So you can see it has it with it completely off. And then if I turn it on, let me go back to that. Here we go. That's what it looks like on. You know, it's kind of hard to see because it's dark anyway, but it's still cool that you can remove. That would be the main thing, is that you can erase that background and have a really cool picture with everything else removed. You don't have to manually do it in gallery and then upload it or something into your wallpapers. If you do want to change your wallpaper on that always on display, you have to do the following. So you have it right here. All you got to do is just press and hold somewhere, or double tap it, I should say, press and hold it, and then do your fingerprint or your lock code, and then you're gonna see wallpapers up here. After a second, it thinks for a second. It takes a second, right? Take wallpapers, and then choose your wallpaper you want. Obviously, to remove the background, you have to have some kind of person or object in the image. If it's just like a abstract thing, like something like this, it's not gonna work. It has to be like a person or an object with something behind it. But regardless, very easy. And then usually you're gonna have pictures like that in your gallery. Choose the one you want. Maybe I want this one of my son. I'm gonna hit done. And now I have this picture of him. Hit done again. And then if I wanted to, I could go back into that same spot in the always on display settings and remove the object. And I'll just hold it right here. Hopefully you can see it. That's what it looks like currently. There it is. That's what it looks like currently. And that's what it looks like with the background removed. So there you guys go. Cool little trick you can do on your always on display Galaxy S25. This 24s literally came out, what, a couple of months ago, and the S25 is coming out just around about 10 months, 11 months from now. And there's already rumors about this phone. This is the base version of the S25 we're talking about, but the display is getting larger, and this information coming out from Revegnas is saying that the S25 rumor is already out, LOL. It is said that there will be a considerable change in the overall design and concept of the S25 series. In particular, there is a possibility that the base model will increase size from the existing 6.2 inches to 6.36 inches. If the increase in smartphone model size a common trend for all brands, even the base model of the Apple iPhone 16 Pro is increasing to 6.3 inches, and the base model size of the Xiaomi 15 in China is also increasing. Now, if they're changing the design and the size, I'm actually curious, what are they gonna do with that design?
Are they gonna finally have the under display camera? That would be a design change, but other than that, I can't imagine what they're going to do unless they're gonna throw finally the display on the back of the phone for the S25. That would be really cool. I still want that on a Samsung phone, but other than that, I can't really imagine them changing the design all that much, especially like what can you do with a candy bar phone that really hasn't already been done. Last story of the day is about the Galaxy S24 Ultra, and if you've been unhappy with taking photos that are kind of dark, especially when you're zooming in, then there's a fix coming for that you don't have to mess with too much. And again, it'll be a software update that will be coming to this phone. Per the Samsung moderators in the Samsung forums, they are saying the following. You can see from the headline, the S24 Ultra, when taking a photo at a certain zoom ratio in the camera app, the photo is taken dark. We've confirmed that when taking a photo with automatic exposure, locked at a specific zoom ratio, 1.6 through 1.9 or 4.6 to 9.9 in the camera app, the photo may be taken dark. A function that locks autofocus and auto exposure. Typically, when you press the shutter button halfway, the focus and exposure are locked. On the shooting screen, the area you want to focus on once and then press the lock shape, or the press and hold the area that you want to focus on. And autofocus or auto lock, we plan to release software that improves the phenomenon. So please update your phone to the latest software when a software update appears. So if you've been waiting for this update, it should be coming hopefully fairly soon, but it's nice that at least Samsung has their eye on the ball and they know that people are complaining and they know that it's an issue. So if you've been, taking photos at those focal lengths and using the automatic exposure and you have dark photos, there will be a fix coming for it. Thanks for watching, guys. What's your problem with the S24 Ultra? Let us know in the comments down below. Have a great day. We'll see you down the road. Peace.